Hello, everybody. I'm KRX, and welcome back to what we call the Train City. So this is the city that runs on trains. If you want to go to work, use a train. If you want to go to the park, use a train. If you want to go to school, use the train. Like everything is train based. You need to get anywhere in the city, you use the train. So let's zoom out and see what we're looking at here. Heck, you want to move to town, use the train. You need to leave town, use the train. Tourists come in via train. Everything is train. There's no highway connecting into this city, except for an experimental roundabout way, like via train, of course. But they can drive in, and they can use this train. In fact, actually, that's not even for pedestrian movement. That's only for cargo movement. But anyways, point of the story is this is the train city we got. This is the train city we got. So let's kind of, as part of this tour, let's take a quick little sort of in the life of a someone moving to town. You're moving to town. You kind of take this line here and you hop over here, and there's one of four different ones. There's four different outside train connections. One of the reasons why we picked this map is that there's four different outside connections. So you can see there's 6 train stations here. 4 of these are connected to individually, specifically dialed in to those 4 outside connections. So this one looks like we just came in and dropped off some people here to move into the city, or maybe they're just visiting, maybe they're just doing touristy things or something. 2 of these lines, these 2 right here, actually will hook into this hexagon system here, and that's what effectively is going to distribute you through the entirety of the city as a citizen, as a private citizen that needs to be moving about and going to work and seeing sights and stuff like that. So we have a couple little parks in here just to kind of fill the space. And again, if you want to visit these parks from your home over here, you have to take a train. There's no road that connects from these areas to here, but there is indeed, this train station again that hooks into here, and then of course this hooks into here. So let's say you're still moving to town, you take this train station to get into this hexagonal area, and then you're going to go to the platform that corresponds with the neighborhood that you live in, because we can see that there's different rows here. And each of these different rows are, again, you guessed it, separated by train. So if you want to go from here to here, you want to visit your friend in this row, boom, you got to train to this hub and then train back. And then from this point, of course, because if we're thinking about what does a residential person need to do during the day, they might need to go to leisure, commercial areas to work or for leisure. They might need to go to industrial areas for work. They might need to go to office areas for work. So all of the zone types are isolated. So again, they would take the train, and then depending on the platform that they, ultimately where they're going, they would get on the appropriate platform, wait for the train, take the train around as many times as they need to go to either offices or industrial or commercial down here as well. And that's how they get around the city. And of course, if you need to go to somewhere a little bit more specialized, some of these areas, like this commercial area here, will then feed into some of the other industrial parks, like the agriculture and the ore and the college. So we do have some outside the city, the core, like this is the core city, and it's mostly a macro design rather than like a micro design. We have some suburbs that are kind of filling the space, sort of filling this outer egg. This 4 layers of rail here is, again, 4 layers because there's 4 different outside connections on this map, right? So each of these connections services an outside connection specifically, and this is for the cargo. So this is a little bit more infrastructure specifically for the cargo, and these are the ways that these cargoes ultimately connect and slingshot the trains to specific locations. So of course, because these cargo areas need deliveries of goods into the cargo areas here, they need deliveries of goods into the cargo area here, so that we can actually get goods to our commercial areas. We have some parks, again, sort of jammed into these little areas. This is just a little city park. We have the nature park in the middle. We have the zoo over here. Pardon me while we're kind of flipping around. It's just kind of all sporadic a little bit. We have actually kind of a nice little theme park, actually. Is this it? Yeah, this is our nice little theme park here. We got a nice little Sphinx. And this is kind of tucked into this, sort of filling the space, right? Just kind of filling the space. Lots of boring neighborhoods out here. Nothing to look at there. Just kind of, again, filling space. Here we do have our rocket launch area. Power plants, garbage bases, and things like that. This is kind of like an area that we just dumped down a bunch of unique buildings to try to make it like a touristy type area. I guess we didn't really come in with enough trees here. We do have kind of a large park that kind of is like a second theme park. It also works as a camping area. And it also works as it sort of comes through this whole area, and we can see it's kind of a city park at the same time. I guess we really, this was the last thing we put in. It looks decent from, it looks good from the sky. It's maybe not quite as filled as we would have liked it. I don't know if we were waiting on demand or what. We have our little sporting arena out here, and that ties in, again, train, right? Train ties into train. This commercial area ties into train. Of course, it has the cargo train area here. We ended up doing a little makeshift connection there just because it's a little bit frustrating that that we added this area. Cargo trades were one of the trickiest things to get going. And that's essentially what's going on here, right? Because with pedestrians, we can control the exact flow and the platform use of the pedestrian rail. So you can see the pedestrian rail, very neat, very efficient, very clean, works perfectly. Doesn't get backed up, works perfectly. The cargo rail, though, the problem is the where we produce the goods, each one of these different stations might actually need to end up at one of like, I think we added up, there's like 22 different maybe even more, maybe 25 different possible ends. These trains that are leaving the station here might need to go to 25 different places. So obviously if we had one big long single file line going to 25 different places, it'd be chaos, right? It wouldn't really work. So instead we have this system that it's sort of like our brushes, they kind of look like brushes, but basically this is what takes ultimately this singular rail that has to connect in with the station and fans it out, and then fans it out again, and then fans it out again, and fans it out again, over and over and over, until it ultimately ties into each of those 25 areas almost specifically. You know, we have the different cargo, especially we're getting huge backups for the cargo going into the commercial areas, because that's coming from the outside rails, that's coming from our internal processing, it's coming from our oil districts, right? The plastics and the furniture and stuff that we're making at our forestry area. So we have forestry, which I think is looking pretty good. And again, this rail has to be able to export. This is for the export, right? Go to the four different outs to the map. And then this is for internal movement, because these might have to either go into the commercials, or it might need to go into the office area. So it starts moving into this mess. And for the most part, this actually works like a charm. It's actually kind of insane. Of course, we have the ore district. Let's get a better view of this. Some good nice little detailing and stuff. I'm noticing that the redwoods are not wanting to pop. They're not wanting to render for whatever reason, but there you have it. Little castle area up here, just a little bit of detailing. This really wasn't, we always try to make our parks and our industrial areas look good, but for the most part, the city was very much meant to be a macroscopic design, like look good from the sky. Look good from the sky, and then also be a little bit of a challenge, right? How do we actually get the rails working? We've seen this backed up, like completely jammed. So as ridiculous as this is, every single rail line that we've added to the entirety of the city actually has a deliberate purpose. It has a specific purpose. Every rail that was added. So, and every rail will get used depending on where the goods, mostly goods, have to sort of end up, right? Because heck, some of them have to come through this area to get into this. Having two different commercial areas actually kind of makes it complicated, because sometimes these trains have to back up and then go back through the system and come back around. So there's a lot of train movement. But yeah, the city works. This is the city. There's not really much to talk about or highlight. Mostly the residential areas are in these sort of rows, right? These different isolated rows that the citizens are not allowed to walk across. They're not allowed to drive across. It's literally, if you want to visit your friend, you have to go to the station and then go back. So, and that's how each of these wedges are made. So it kind of looks like a flower, or like different wedges of like a pie or something. That's how each of these. So this is, we can see this is actually very clear. Oh, we did end up connecting this because it was causing some chaos. But for a long time we didn't have it connected. Here's a good example. Well, this is connected for services only. But basically, I could tell you the citizen movement is restricted from traversing these different rows. But in the sake of getting the services, not doing too much headaches there, we ended up having the services be allowed to go between those different rows of the wedges. But for the most part, the zone types are completely isolated, at least if nothing else. And there's the train city, guys. This was a fun one. A lot of people really liked this one. I think a lot of people were chalking it up as their favorite city we've ever done. It was a cool one. The fact that it came out this well, I'm a little shocked, but I'm happy with it, guys. I'm really happy with it. It conforms to the geography quite well, and I like it. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And the next city that we're going to be doing a little tour and final thoughts of is going to be the canal city that we did. So we kind of did this concept, but with boats. So that's going to be coming out in a few days. And thank you so much, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.